I don't know what it is about a spring bear hunting season, but I feel like I always go into it with super high hopes of getting lots of time in the field, and then it just never quite pans out that I'm free enough to get out and hunt the way I want to. This year was no exception to that, but we did have the opportunity to see lots of bears moving around. If you are a seasoned bear hunter, you probably are very accustomed to the normal routine of driving around, glassing, checking new cuts, and waiting until that prime time to find bears moving around. This year, that was exactly what we did, just kind of moving into new units to see if we could find fresh activity. I was pretty excited early on in the season when we made our way into a unit with a buddy that we were hunting with for the day. We had checked several different cuts, spent time behind our optics, and really felt good about how things were going. A little later in that evening, we ended up finding a gorgeous chocolate bear. So he was 580 yards, and I got behind the gun not knowing if I would shoot or not. My general rule is when I'm comfortable with a gun and I get behind it, if the range feels too far, I simply won't shoot. A lot of times for me, especially stepping behind somebody else's gun, it can be a matter of adjustment and getting your eye relief right, getting comfortable with your setup. So going into that possible shot opportunity, I knew I might not actually click that safety off and pull the trigger. Once I was able to get down, I was laying in the prone position, got a really good, comfortable setup, and everything felt good. What we did not account for was that wind at 580 yards was throwing my bullet off. I will also note that I would do this shot differently in the future. Pulling the trigger felt fine, but what I did not take account for at this distance was not being able to decipher at 10 power in my rifle scope if that bear was hard quartered or more broadside. Although our main focus during the season was to put bear meat in the freezer, we couldn't pass up any potential areas that might hold sheds, and it seemed to pay off several times during this season. I think hunting gives you an opportunity to have moments in life that just kind of make you stop and take a breath and really analyze what just unfolded. I had been out with Dustin and we were going just kind of unit to unit. We'd spent some time glassing, seeing what we could see, if there was any fresh sign, any logs tore up. And it was getting later in the season. I had already taken the shot on the cinnamon and replayed that whole scenario. And we had gone up into a unit, and about 550 yards, we spotted a single bear down in the bottom next to the timber line feeding away. And we're like, okay, let's at least get a better look at this bear. We made our way down an old skid road and got ourselves into better position, checked our wind, everything was going good. We ended up narrowing down and cutting the distance down to 180 yards. And we had the advantage in this scenario of being able to be more on top of this bear, looking down from less than 200 and really getting to get a good look. I was able to set up, get my gun steady, and get that bear in my crosshairs. And there was just a gut feeling in me that was just like, I'm not ready for this bear. This isn't my bear. And we watched him forever. And finally I said to Dustin, I think that's a sow. I think it's a sow. She's probably around 3. Wasn't super duper, she was really healthy looking. She was absolutely gorgeous. Her hide was great. And I'm not necessarily the kind of person that just passes opportunities. I'm far from a trophy hunter, but there was just something about it. The safety was on. I just said, I'm just gonna take a pass. I think it's a sow. In Oregon, you have to have proof of sex if it is a sow. And it wasn't the right opportunity. So we watched this bear for quite a while and then ended up making our way out to go to some other units. We ended up glassing some more, walking around a little bit, finding some smaller bears, but no shooters that day. A few days later, when I was out, I ran into a sow with a couple cubs at about 20 yards. It was pretty neat to see these little guys scurry up the tree. This season ended up being a really good combination of some solo hunts for me. I also was able to get out with my dog and do a little bear hunting in the evening, and in the morning, a little shed hunting in the afternoon, and we got to camp out. So it was a really great time. I also got to take several trips out with Dustin, which made it really fun.
Well, the fog finally blew off for the most part. Anything that I can see around here is pretty open now, but I found a couple elk yesterday glassing a cut, and they're over there again this morning, bedded down. I always see elk over there in that spot, so it's a pretty good area for that. I'm guessing if they're feeling pretty relaxed, there's probably not going to be a bear there, so I'm going to pick up and head over to the other side, start glassing the other area, but it's always good to see animals out and about, so no complaints.
After having missed the cinnamon bear, I was in a mental place where I was really second guessing myself as a hunter and as a shooter. We were coming up onto lots of transitions and moves, and time is just limited, which I know so many people can relate to. And we went out one weekend and decided we were going to go to some familiar cuts and just see if there were any new bears roaming around. And as we made a turn up a gravel road, we were coming into an area where we had seen that sow a couple weeks earlier that I had passed on. And I just said, hey God, if I'm going to throw a Hail Mary here. If that bear is here again today and the shot opportunity is right, I'm going to take that bear. Yes, it's probably a sow. We watched her for a long time. She was beautiful. And if the opportunity is there and I get a second chance, awesome. So we make our way up there and park the truck and do some glassing. We can see over the side. We're kind of on the top of a ridge, and we can see down, and then we can see up the other side. And there's no bears anywhere. It's hot. This spring season was really hot and dry, and I thought maybe it's just the wrong time of day. And so we kind of just hoofed around there for a little bit and decided we were going to head out. And we were almost past visibility, and I told Dustin, I said, just stop the truck. I just got to look one more time. And I get out of the truck and I walk over the edge and I throw up my binoculars, and there is that bear. Same exact area, feeding around, and I called Dustin over. I was like, that bear's there. And he knew what my prayer was. I said it out loud, so he knew, had that bear come back out, we were gonna grab the rifle and try to make a play.
Okay.
It was about 25 minutes of getting ourselves into position, really paying attention to the wind because it was getting down to last light-ish. There was a thermal shift that was about to happen, so we were considering that as well. But we were able to cut down a skid road, make our way into the edge of this clearing so that we could see down on her. Unfortunately, because the cut bank was so steep right there, we got into position and she was nowhere to be found. It was either one, she was below us and we couldn't see her, or two, she had fed back into the timber. So we pulled out of there, we came around and we hiked down the ridge that was facing her. And I was a little worried that we wouldn't be able to have that much movement. It was us in the direct sun, so we were really standing out. But we were able to get down there and get into position at 300 yards. We set up the spotting scope and we're just getting settled in. I take off my pack and two beautiful, healthy little cubs pop out. This was the same bear who had two cubs with her. But the first day that we saw her, even in the amount of time that we'd spent with glass on her, getting video of her, we never saw cubs. This time, those two cubs popped out, and I immediately knew why my gut instinct, the very first time we saw her, told me not to shoot.
Well, we finally made our way to a good vantage to see this bear. And two cubs just popped out, so
We have like 30 minutes left. We last 30 minutes. Go to watch. We should go try to find a door for you to find better. It's pretty cool to see bears watching them.
Just like any other season, there's so much to be learned outside of the harvest or a notch tag. It might sound cliche, and you may or may not have said it yourself, but I am truly a hunter there for soaking up the experience, for the beautiful country, and for the quiet time where I get to press the reset button. If you haven't done any spring hunting, I would highly recommend it. Even if you're just getting your feet wet and don't know where to start, spring bear hunting can be a lot of fun. And it's an opportunity to lay out the groundwork for your normal hunting season as well. A lot of times when you spend that much time behind your glass, you'll be able to find some other critters. Maybe you'll see where the deer are coming in and out, or find the herds of elk you might want come September. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you out and about enjoying some spring bear hunting as well.